Tekken 8 has been out for less than 8 weeks, and it's already pulled more hours out of me than that time I had a clock removed from my... Despite being a college student, I've already put 100 hours into the game. This is far faster than most games, though Tekken 8 is admittedly becoming one of my favorite games overall. And for that, I have been more than willing to give it the time I think it deserves. In those 100 hours, I have learned a few things, despite still being in lower ranks. Where I am is higher than I got in Tekken 7, and I put almost 300 hours into the game, albeit over the course of a year and a half, rather than 8 weeks. I'm making this video to touch on a few things that I've learned in the time that I've played. The first is a strategy I learned from watching Knee, who, if you don't know, is an amazing Tekken player and whose gameplay is a great teacher. To simplify it as best I can, Knee's most crucial move is often the most overlooked: the jab. While I'm still learning how to mix up my options afterward, I am beginning to employ this tactic for a few reasons. Reason number 1. It has been incredibly useful in switching to a character that I've been much more comfortable with, one whom I will get to in a bit. Reason number 2, using the jab to set up offense can help take some guesswork out of what opponents will do, as this is where they will show tendencies, as well as creating a knowledge check situation with the advantage frames. Reason number 3, this can also be a massive help in deterring an aggressive opponent, when combined with the mid-hitting down forward 1. Many early level players are so afraid to give up their turn that they will mash buttons even when they aren't safe. If you can find the gap in their offense, you can interrupt their flow for a second and use that frame trap to set up a launcher or another poke. While these jab tips can be a good starting point, you also have to have good movement and frame knowledge, which not every player, even with 100 hours, is going to have. That's why there are other ways to learn and improve. One of the best ways is to try a new character. In Tekken 8, I started with Raven, one of the more difficult characters to game plan with. When I started to hit my ranked wall, I figured it was time for a change, and that's where Feng comes in. Sure, I've played Law 2 and will likely play many more characters before I get to 200 hours. It was Feng, however, who really stuck out as the choice for me, for 3 reasons. Reason number 1, ease of use. Feng's game plan and executions are much easier than Raven's, and his balance in the game's meta right now can give any unwitting opponent a moderate to severe case of reason number 2, combo damage. If you don't know, Feng's combo damage is ridiculous. As a YouTuber and a passionate fighting gamer, I am a man possessed when it comes to finding my own combo routes. With Feng, I've found a combo that totals 126 damage. That is literally 70%. Reason number 3, frame data. Everyone knows that Feng has great frame data, and even if you don't know what that means, if you fought a Feng player, even as a Feng player, you know that his frames are really, really, really unbelievably, unreasonably, clinically insane. With all of this, and much more, I'm not afraid to admit that Feng is a crutch, nor am I afraid to say that he's exactly the crutch that I need. His fundamental playstyle mixed with my limited game knowledge makes him and Tekken as a whole accessible to someone newer to fighting games. I'm still of the belief that wins come both with the strength of a character and the mind of a player. A strong character piloted by someone inexperienced is more often beaten by a veteran using a weak character because the game is equally about the mind as it is the buttons. And that is another lesson I've learned. There is still one more lesson I think I've overlooked for far too long, and many of you may relate to it as well. Recently, I've been trying to teach myself that losing and failing are not the same. The only time they are the same is when you don't find a lesson in the loss. The mindset of failure is not an option is an old ideal that needs to be changed. From comparing ourselves to our favorite streamers who show us what we want to play like, to entire communities buying into this idea can cause detriment to someone's progress. Learning to accept a loss is something I still struggle with, but I want to get better. That is what this video is about. Improvement. Looking back at my initial Tekken 8 videos has yielded an idea in my head that I wanted to share. If you're looking back at your replays and you notice something you didn't notice previously, do not shame your past self. Instead, use it as a reminder that you have made progress since then, and know that in another 100 hours, you'll be that much better than you were in your first 100 hours. Also, here's a bear with a fish.